welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our comic for today is Demons Second Series, Issue 4 by DC. Now there is magic, fighting, and destruction in this one, so if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, here's the team. So, when we left off in issue 3, Jason Blood has learned what he needs to do to get to Merlin from Etrigan. Glenda, after being rescued from Belial, has listened to Etrigan's instructions. And so, they had to go to Merlin's castle. Again, then you see Etrigan standing all, after being in that magical circle to summon his father. That was painful for him. So we start this one again with our narrator who continues to talk to Merlin, talk at Merlin, more accurately, and tells him, you old fool, how have you not seen any of this? There's always been a problem with your heritage. And part of you is human, and you're not exactly like us. So we see Merlin in this place that he's trapped in, and we see we're back where we started in issue 1 in that castle in Cornwall, and you see Jason Blood with Glenda, both dressed for the job. Special, hiking shoes, black shirts. So what they need to do, they need this song. So Glenda is going to wait there. They're quite far from the castle. There are 2 guards guarding the ruins. And they're waiting there. Glenda asks him if he's sure it's late enough, and he says yes, the guards will be tired and bored. So she's going to stay there, also another part of Etrigan's plan, but not for Glenda's benefit, though, for his. He already planned it. Our narrator basically tells us that Etrigan has orchestrated all of this. In the bar with Glenda, too, that he needed her specifically as well for this. Or he needed a woman, anyway. And Glenda was there because she wanted to be important to Jason. So we continue. Glenda has to stay there and turn on the music. And then I think turn it off again if Jason doesn't come back in an hour. Turn it off regardless, even if he doesn't come back. And so Jason goes. He sneaks... almost sneaks past the guards. It's more Etrigan's magic helps him. One guard does come out, but then he's right next to him. He points his finger at his ear. I guess he uses a spell because the guard just freezes for a second, but then goes back. And Jason just sneaks seamlessly through. Continuously throughout, our narrator keeps talking at Merlin and being amazed that he hasn't noticed any of this in time, and all he did was sleep. Jason goes into the castle, then down into this, where the entrance to Merlin's chamber is. So he's been there before, but he hasn't had the initiative. A narrator mentions how Jason doesn't really have any initiative, and how although Merlin thinks he picked him to be Etrigan's prison, it was actually Etrigan who picked him. But there's not really much of Jason Blood really left. Etrigan just wears him like a coat. Which is interesting, so that means that there's not much personality or soul left to Jason, does it? It's a curious thought. Yes, Jason gets down there, but there are gargoyles protecting the entrance. And Jason knows that they are animated, but this time he's not invited. So they're not going to let him through. So he starts going back up. He went down some stairs together. He goes back up the stairs and he thinks to evade them, to trick them, but he doesn't expect a third one. There's a third one behind him outside. He kind of manages to dodge, but then the third one hits him. And he's a little overwhelmed. Well, not a little overwhelmed. He's quite overwhelmed. And he goes like to the side of the castle. They're on like the terrace. And then the three gargoyles arrive. One of them, I think this is the third one, grabs Jason, lifts him up, and, he's about to throw him over the edge. And Jason doesn't have a choice. He summons Etrigan. Says the words, and then he's turned into Etrigan, and Etrigan starts fighting the three gargoyles. The first one, he punches his head through. Then he, I think, spits fire at the next one. No. It's that first one. He blows fire at him. Then one of them hits him, and it keeps rhyming, telling them, don't prolong this. I wish I could remember his rhymes and tell you. But that's just too many words, sir. And then the other one, he doesn't have a lot of time, but he does want to destroy them, kill them. He takes a rock, throws it at one, smashes him. And then for the third one, because he still wants to, he he throws him over the edge, but he starts flying. And of course, Etrigan grabs his wings and breaks them off of his back, and then he falls into the ocean. And the narrator comments on how, he remembers when Merlin created these gargoyles, and that he was amazed that they could fly. But that said, the gargoyles are all destroyed. And at this point, Merlin has already started waking up, but now Shirley, feeling that his gargoyles are gone, he's going to wake up. He's definitely awoken now. So before he can try to get into Etrigan's mind and calm him down, Etrigan disappears and turns back into Jason. Jason's obviously overwhelmed by this because it's so fast, and he needs a moment to get his bearings. He's lying there, and our narrator says how he almost feels sorry for that body. Well, almost. I'm pretty sure our narrator's a demon, so he wouldn't have much sympathy for old Jason. Then Jason gets up and goes back down to the chamber. He reads the word on the door, the ruins to get in. And here our narrator says, I don't understand you. Like, in that moment you were awake. You knew that Jason was there. Why didn't you stop him from entering your chamber? It says how Merlin was so certain that he's the one that chose the vessel, Jason, and that Jason was his toy, as he says. But Jason is in fact Etrigan's toy. Etrigan's the one that controls him. So he goes into the chamber and confronts Merlin. Merlin said, how many years it's been. He's been sleeping on a stool, it seems. And, Jason's like, come on, Merlin, it's been a millennia. I'm tired, this is your burden. And he says, yes, this is my burden to bear, but, you're the one I imprisoned him in. And you have to, I won't bear another one. Or, like, another. Yeah, because Jason says, why don't you just lock him up in your body? And he says, no, I cannot do that. And I cannot let you set him free. And that does it. Like, the threat of "I won't let you set Etrigan free" is what spurs Jason on to go forward with the plan. Because our narrator says how much Jason will always need like a push in the right direction. Like how before Glenda arrived, he was just walking around the castle ruins and not really, going down to the chamber and doing anything. He always needed someone to give him a push. So Jason, yes, so that's it. After that threat, the narrator said, "You shouldn't have threatened him, Merlin. He might have just not gone with the plan if you didn't." And then Jason, he has a radio, I think, with him, I think it's something, a radio. Yeah, it is the radio, and he turns it on, and the music plays. It's the same song that Etrigan told Glenda to play. It's because Merlin has many charms in his in his hideout that protect him, but because he's been asleep for a millennia and hasn't really done anything or kept up with the world, with technology, he doesn't have anything to prevent radio waves, or radio signal. Radio signal maybe is more accurate. So that's it. He is captured and entranced by the song. And the narrator says, "Oh, look at you. Even now your eyes glaze over, even though this is just a vision, a replay." Yeah, he Jason Blood leads Merlin out of there. And leads them outside. They go. But then suddenly, floats even further from Jason. Jason has to run after him. And again, they all think that they are in control of this, but the real orchestrator of all this is Etrigan. Because Jason's confused, what's going on? Because he thought he was in control of the situation. But he's not. Merlin's still hearing the sounds, but then he sees Glenda and immediately goes to her. And Glenda kind of wondered if she would get to see Merlin, and after she does, she wishes she hadn't. I mean, not that he's super ugly, he's just very old. But to be fair, maybe Dari looks frightening. Anyway, he gets closer and closer. Etrigan, there's a reason why he needed her to be there. Because Merlin apparently has a weakness for women. I guess he wanted to, take her to his chamber. But him approaching her makes her trip over the radio. Not the radio, the player, the tape player. I think it would have been a tape player. Or a CD. It's something like that. It makes her trip and the music stops. And at this point, oh shit, Merlin's, free now? What is he gonna do? But again, this is all part of Etrigan's plan. Before anything, he awakes from the trance and he's like, oh no, because then this, let me just to tell you what it's called. There you go. It's called, Hawthorne. Yeah, this sort of Hawthorne. It's H-A-W and then Thorn. And then he says that and he screams, Merlin screams, tries to somehow get away, but this thorn pulls him inside of it. It's some kind of, I think, magical bait or something of the sort. And it pulls him inside, and all is left is his robe that he was wearing. And Merlin, too. And Glenda and Jason look at this like, what? And then the narrator says, well, now, and then Jason's holding his head and screaming, and Etrigan comes out of him. I don't know from where. It kind of almost looks like he came out of his mouth. I don't know. But yeah, he's there. Etrigan's finally free after a millennia. You see, like, Merlin thought that Etrigan was just this, brute force of wretchedness and evil, but Etrigan was still being very subtle and also smart. He had the patience to wait for an opportunity, to find, to wait along for someone like Glenda to arrive for his purposes. And, well, waiting paid off, didn't it? So yeah, he's out of Jason's body, and Glenda's like, oh shit, she tries to use the Philosopher's Stone, Merlin's one, but alas, now it's just a useless rock because all of Merlin's magic has gone now. Because he's trapped in this thorn, so that's it. No more magic. And Etrigan tells her, settle down before I eat your bowels. I won't do anything. And then he approaches Jason, and you're looking at him and how broken he is now after all this, and how, how the state of his soul, he comments on it, and his body. And he wonders, before Glenda tries to use the stone on him, he tells him that, he grabs his chin and holds his face up and tells him, maybe I should, rip your soul or break your bones. But then Etrigan decides, you know what, no, stay as you are, he tells him. It'll be more, I think he says it'll be more fun. Right. There we go. And now, gracious host, we speak of your future well-being. All there is to most, but then they've never had demoning, for your soul feels now fractured and cold, mind very numb, and your bollocks not bold. So should I leave you this way? You're as dead, you're no good. I like that. You stay. So that's it. I guess Jason's now, gonna need to recover, I imagine. Hey, poor bastard. A millennia where, mind you, he also doesn't remember a lot of that millennia because Etrigan would choose what he remembered and also Merlin. But then Jason, not Jason. Etrigan says, you stay, and then he kisses Jason. He grabs his face in his hands and he kisses him. And then that's it, he just fucks off. He's like, yeah, haha, and jumps away. And then you see Glenda approaching Jason, and she hugs him from behind, and he holds on to her. And then we see Merlin, and Jason holds on to her. And then our narrator says that since that day, no one has heard night or hair of Etrigan. And that he likes it that way because now everyone in hell are very nervous. They're very fucking nervous about Etrigan returning and where is he, And that the host likes it that way. He likes when things are scary. And then we get back to Merlin. He's in this thorn now, and he's basically naked and impaled in these thorns all over his body. And then for the first week that he was there, he couldn't stop screaming, and it took him another week until he could open his eyes. And so now he's trapped in that thorn unless his, Jason, unless maybe Jason feels sorry enough for him after being forced to stay to be Etrigan's prison for a millennia, if he decides to rescue him. Or if, Etrigan decides to forgive him. Yeah, not gonna fucking happen. So that's it. He's stuck there, not able to talk, not able to do anything in this thorn. And the narrator asks, do you want to see it again, maybe? And he's like, don't answer that. And that's it. That's where the story ends. Okay, so first the cover. Like I said, it's the same theme here. You got the circle. And here you got Etrigan this time. Not this time, but you got Etrigan looking all evil. His eyes burning. Very cool. I still wish I knew what this picture's around. It almost looks like it's some kind of painting or something. Because you see now I notice that is a person. Oh, interesting. So you got Etrigan. Okay, let me show you a bit of art there. 1 second. There you see Merlin inside the thorn there. There's Jason and Glenda. There you go, they're back at the castle. Sorry. Like I said in the last 3 videos, I really love this art style. It looks really nice. I keep forgetting that it's drawn by Matt Wagner. The pencils are by Matt Wagner. Sorry if you hear noise, that's the TV. Got my grandma's TV. And there you got this here. You can see. Oh, and then I need to show you like Merlin trapped in there. Even though it's like right at the end, but still. Like you see, there he is. He's trapped in that thorn. Ow. And there's Etrigan kissing him and fucking off. Okay. So, man, that was quite the mini-series. So I wonder if that answers my question, and if for the 3rd series, Etrigan is free from Jason Blood and now just wanders on his own, going back to hell and taking revenge, I suppose, to all who've helped, those who had him locked, basically. It makes me wonder if that is in fact the case, because you see him, you see him like wandering all over and then going back to hell. But Merlin's there again in the 3rd series, so maybe it doesn't really have relation to one another. But it's interesting that they made like a 4-issue miniseries, and then here he gets, and finally after millennia, Etrigan's released. And it's interesting that that's really all it took. Although, granted, I'm not saying it couldn't have been that easy. And again, Etrigan had to find a moment to get to that. I'm quite curious. I really now want to read the 1st series by Mr. Kirby to see how he was originally. I mean, I think Jason was probably there originally too. I wonder what was the original story. And here it seems to be a bit different, and I don't have the beginning of the 3rd series, so I don't know. The issues I've read are, like, quite far in. So I wonder if Jason Blood features in them. Or maybe I did have one, actually, that was earlier. Because I remember I have issue 0 of the Demon of Something. And then, you got Etrigan and Jason Blood there. I can't remember. But I definitely need to look around and check that out again among my comics. Regardless, this has been a really cool short series. Shame it was so short, though. I would have loved to see a bit more. At least maybe a lot more issue, I don't know, to see how Jason's doing, and also, where Etrigan is fucked off to. What is he going to do now? He's got his revenge on Merlin. Unless someone saves him, he's basically stuck in that place. I wonder why that thorn could suck him in there. Maybe it's something from the old times? Curious. But yeah, the fact that he was so, so sure that everything was fine and not, being more alert to Etrigan is interesting. That he wouldn't, Like, he locked him in Jason Blood's body, but I guess maybe in a way he should have, I don't know, if he couldn't he have put Jason into sleep? So he would continuously sleep, and then Etrigan's in a body that, unless someone comes and says, "Gone, will form of man and rise the demon Etrigan." I don't know. And maybe it's something that he couldn't. This is also mentioned, demons don't sleep. They're awake from their conception. And Merlin, well, needed sleep, but I wonder really how much sleep he needed. I mean, he's part demon. Couldn't he sleep for like a few years and then wake up again? He's an antiquate. He's an antique, as our narrator said. I wonder who our narrator was. It's kind of a bummer it wasn't revealed. I was hoping to learn who it is. I'm certain it's a demon. It's one of the demons, but I wonder who. It's obviously someone who knew, no, I guess it's not right. They kind of do tell, because it's someone who obviously knew Etrigan is a demon. But I wonder how he's speaking to Merlin. Is he in the thorn, or is he just like, sending him messages to his mind? I don't know. Looks like he got quite a kick from this one. I wonder what old Belial thinks about all this. About his beloved first son. Well, beloved. Escaping. And now he's going to basically wreak terror and havoc on hell. Probably. Well, I guess that's left to be found out. So this was the second Demon series, issue 4. I'd love to know what you thought of this one if you read it. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I will reread it in the future, even though I now know the ending. But I had a feeling this was basically all replayed, was like retold to Merlin. But it was interesting that you couldn't really tell where he was. At some point I thought, what, is his head disconnected from his body? That was in the last issue. But anyway, folks, that is it. That was issue 4. Again, let me know what you thought, and remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!